Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Urvashi and I work as a professional trainer and I provide trainings in front-end development technologies, that is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React.js and Redux. Welcome to the 13th video of JavaScript of Let's Crack It with Urvashi series. In today's video, we are going to talk about very important concept, that is DOM in JavaScript. I have seen students and working professionals as well going through all the content online and still not able to figure out what is DOM, how to answer this question in interview. So in this video, what I've done, I've created it with the perspective of understanding the DOM and then how we can answer this question in interview. So whenever this question is asked in interviews, mostly to students know what is DOM, but they don't know how to answer it. Or they know very basics in DOM. So today we are going to see in detail how we can attach an event to an HTML element through JavaScript. We are going to see how we can add classes to an HTML element through JavaScript and what are DOM methods. So we are going to see this topic in detail today. And before we go to the video, don't forget to check out my interview preparation material. I've added the description below, so do check that out. Now let's get to the video.
Very important. You will actually understand what is going on in your HTML, what is going on in your JS, how you're able to access the data through JavaScript. Okay. And you're able to manipulate the CSS through JavaScript. We have done that once I think the lecture we did functions. In that lecture, I showed you guys all that part. So firstly, what is DOM? Okay. We'll break down this term. DOM, D stands for document, object O means object, and M is model. Okay. Document means any type of document. If you see the document, even PPT is a document. If your Word is also a document, your code file is also a document at the end of the day. Everything is a document. In our case, your document is going to be an HTML document. Okay. Object. Object means all the HTML elements. Okay, just see the HTML through JavaScript eyes now. Okay, JavaScript perspective. So JavaScript treats all the HTML elements as objects. Here. JavaScript treat like when you access any element like document.get element by ID, by ID, till that point you're accessing that element. Okay, that element gets selected. Dot value, dot style. Basically, dot value and style is what? Attribute, because style value attributes we can define here. So basically, you're actually accessing the attributes like a property. So JavaScript treats all the HTML elements, like if I'm writing this P element, hello. If I'm accessing this P element in JS, it will treat this P element as its object and all the attributes that you guys define here. Let's say color pink. JavaScript treat all the attributes as its property. Okay. So even this accessibility of these elements are also like objects, and these attributes like the properties. So, okay. And model means layout, like how you're creating the layout. Like I'm creating div element, or maybe I'm creating header element first. I'm creating footer element, then I'm creating main, and then a lot of sections. So that is called the layout, how you're structuring your HTML elements. So structuring your web elements, or just imagine an HTML element, is called DOM. Okay. Uh, I hope you guys remember very first day of JavaScript. I told you guys, uh, like once HTML file goes into browser, okay, HTML DOM is created, then CSS DOM is created, and then JavaScript will be executed based on the placement. You're placing it in head or in end of the body. Okay. So that is what your DOM is. Now DOM creates a document object model of the page. So that means whenever HTML goes into the browser, it is treated like a HTML DOM is created, and DOM is nothing but a tree-like structure here. So they are implementing tree data structure. So whatever elements that you see, they are implemented in the form of tree-like structure. Physically, you cannot see, but in a browser, a tree-like structure is created. So DOM creates a document object model of the page when a page is loaded. That means whenever an HTML page goes into browser, it creates a tree-like structure, the DOM structure, and basically this is how it looks. Where your root element is HTML, HTML further has head and body. Okay, that's why I use these terms like head is the parent, then meta title is the child, HTML is the parent, head and body are its two child. P script, and if you're creating any other element, they are the child of body. When we covered combinators in CSS, at that time I used these terms. Okay. Because of this, you can actually analyze this. HTML is the parent, head and body are the child. A head is the parent, title is the child. Body is the parent, A heading 1 is the child. Further, A is having this attribute href and so on. Okay. Just like you guys have family tree, like parents, parents, then grandchild, grandchild, great grandchild, and so on. Okay. Just like we have family tree, similarly we have DOM tree for these web elements, for these HTML elements. Okay. So if you break this statement, these three words, document means our HTML document. Object means JavaScript will treat each HTML as its object and every attribute as its property. And model is the way you are creating the layout, where you are putting head element, where you are putting heading, div tag, okay, structuring. So DOM is the standard object model and programming interface for HTML. It defines HTML elements as object, properties, attributes as properties. So there are a lot of DOM methods, like how you're able to access HTML through JavaScript through DOM methods. So that is document.get element by ID. Even that is a DOM method that you guys write. Okay, it's the topic of DOM only. So you can access all the HTML elements. We have events for HTML elements like on click, on change. All those events are also coming from your DOM only. Okay, so we can manipulate elements based on IDs and classes. We have seen only IDs till now, but today we'll see all rest of the part like query selector, classes, tag name, and all. Okay, is it clear? If someone asks you DOM, so when you guys write document or get element by ID, okay, it's basically your access using DOM method there to access that HTML element. And through that DOM method, you're actually considering that HTML element as object. An object has two things I told you guys, property or a method. That is the reason when you write dot value dot style, basically you're accessing that element's attribute, which is treated as property in JavaScript. What happens, but the main idea is to see the selectors. Okay, just like we did CSS selectors, like by ID, ID hash dot class element selector, group selector, universal. Similarly, we have this topic of selectors in JavaScript, and it is coming from your DOM only. So whatever I've written here, these all methods are coming from DOM. Okay, so DOM provides us the methods. DOM provide us the events. DOM provide us a way through which we can access the HTML elements, web elements. So all that part is DOM. I think ID you guys already remember. Like I will add a ID here. I will copy this. I can simply create a function here. So on click is equal to, even this on click is an event coming from DOM. Let's say get some data. I will copy this. This is how I can create a function. And when you click on this, I want to, let's say, grab the element content of this. So I will write document dot get element by ID. I will pass display here. So you can see this is called your DOM method, but this document is predefined. Okay, document dot get element by ID. So you're trying to access any one element which is having the ID display. So IDs are unique, so only one element will be selected. So when you write this much part, this means that object is selected. That means even if you try to console it, you will see you will get a P element here. Let me console. Okay, I will click on this button. You can see P element is coming. So script.js line number 2, you guys can actually analyze P element is getting selected. This much. Okay. When you, after that, we can write dot inner HTML. So now I'm trying to access its text. Now I will click on this. You can see hello is coming. So this is what we call selecting an element by the ID. Now I can manipulate it as well. So I can simply write dot equal to world. I will click on this and you can see this data will be changed to world. Data is changed to world. So on click of a button, you are able to manipulate it. So dot inner HTML, or you can use text content as well. Text content is another way to access. That is also correct. Or inner HTML. All right. Both are changing the content, element content. Both are used to access or change the element content. All right. This is by ID. Now let's create a list which will have a lot of classes. Now classes are going to be present in more than one places. Okay. All right. So here I will write HTML, then I will write CSS, and I will write JS, and I will add the same class here. Class, class, and then class. I will add item as class here, item and item. Since classes is something which is not unique, it is going to be present in all the elements. All right. Now, when you click on this button, I will write document dot get element by class name. I will pass the class name. That's it. Right now, team, you cannot write dot something because you will get a collection. So you need to store it in a variable. So I will write var list equal to this. So basically, this list is going to give you the value of all the all the items which is having this class. Even if you have any p element having this class, even that element will get selected. So all the elements which is having this class will be returned. So you cannot directly manipulate anything here. You have to store it in a variable, and you will see it returns a collection. See, it is returning a HTML collection having all the li items. Just like document.getElement by ID. This is returning the p element. Similarly, by class name, since class is not unique, it can be present in more than one places. That's why you get a complete collection here. Just like when you guys write document.getElement by ID, so you get a p element. I'm not talking about dot inner HTML or something. When you guys write document.getElement by ID, okay, just look at this part. This. So you're getting p element. Okay, you're getting p element here. Similarly, in class name, since class is not unique, so you need to firstly store it in a variable. Document get element by class name. You need to store it in a variable because it will return a collection. Collection will return all the elements having that class. Right now, all the li items I've added, it can be any other element as well. It can be a p element as well. Okay. So now you can treat it like a array. It's a collection, I know that, but you can treat it like an array. Okay. So now when you treat it like an array, you can just iterate over it and access each element's content. Firstly, I will make it inner HTML. Okay. All right. So now simply I will write here for loops where I is equal to 0. I should be less than array list dot length. Okay. For now, I'm just doing console.log of list of I. See, I will get all the li items on line number 9 individually. Now, like just like in this first line by ID, when you write dot in a HTML, you are able to access its element content. Similarly, if I write dot in a HTML, I will be able to access its element content. You can see HTML, CSS, and JS is coming. So in case of class name, if you want to access all the elements, content, or anything for the complete part, you need to iterate. Tell me, I have an empty array outside. I want to store all the data inside this. So I can just write array dot push, and I can just push this data in every iteration. That's it. And here I will write console.log of now HTML, CSS, and JS. All right. Let me add a heading here by ID, by class name. Okay. Then next we have query selector. And then we have query selector all. Now I will write document dot get element by ID. Document dot query selector. So here you guys need your CSS knowledge here. Okay. So just like you guys select an element in CSS, exactly same you will select here, like dot item. So here you like whatever combinators you had, whatever selectors you guys had, everything you can access here. So when you write document dot query selector, okay, you are actually accessing an element which is having this class a dot item. Okay. So if it's an ID, you can add hash. If it's directly an element, you can directly write the element name P. So whatever selectors you guys have in CSS, even if it's normal simple selector, basic selector, even if it's a combinator, anything, you need to write that here. Right now, item is a class, so I will write it like this. Okay. Now I will write dot style dot background color equal to pink. So now you will see I will click on this and first element is having the background color as pink. Why is it happening? Because query selector, whatever you pass here, even if you pass ID, even if you pass element, even if you pass class, in query selector, it will select only the first element. Even if there are three elements having class, it will only select the first element always. Okay, that is your query selector. Now, if I'm using query selector all, this will select all the items now. You can consider it like a case just like your ID works, and this is like a case just like your class works. Okay. Now you have to store it in a variable. That's a list. Now if I console it, you will see you will get a complete collection. It doesn't matter even if it's a class name. It will select the first element having that class, query selector. But if you want to select all the elements, then you need to use query selector all. You will see you will get a node list here, node collection. See, having all the li items. Now you can again you can treat it like an array. You can iterate over it and simply access and may whatever styling you want to change, whatever element content you want to grab, you can do that. So you can just select list of one instead of iterating. You can do that. That will have yellow color because it's a. I'm saying treat it like an array, just like this part and length property. Not you can't use like map function and all. But yeah, this one you can access. And whatever group selector you guys had, like comma, heading to, everything you can pass here, whatever you have in CSS. So I want to check, let's say J is present or not. Left is in here. Yes, correct. So I will just write list of I dot in an HTML. Exactly just like you guys do it in arrays, right? Same thing. I have added small case or okay, let's keep this. I can just write console.log of exist. You can see I'm getting exists. Like last time, we'll grab all the data and you can do this on this, like searching for a particular or checking for a particular element content. Because everything that you see in UI is element content at the end of the day. Okay, so you're getting specific element content. Clear? Is this part clear to all? Okay. Last one we have is by document dot get element by tag name. Okay. Tag name means P heading to like that. Okay. Again, it returns the collection because this is not going to be unique, right? Even if you have heading, heading is not going to be unique. It's going to be present in more than one places. That's why this also returns a collection. Same part, same theory over here as well. So it will return all the headings or whatever p tag you have in the form of collection. Then again, you can iterate over it and you can work on it. Okay. We use this by tag name very like rare, but we use IDs, class names, and query selector we use nowadays a lot because whatever your ID and class name is doing, you can just do it with one single method. Class, this is they will give you a list and they will ask you to grab all these elements content. Give me these datas in the form of array. Give me all these datas as the part of my object values. Uh, Alert all these values. Okay, like you just have UI in front of you, and obviously you will think a lot of times like what should I do, because you just have HTML, CSS, and JS. These are the HTML part. This is the HTML part. How can I get this in the form of array? These type of questions are asked in interviews. Okay, so you can just see the solution is hardly 2 5 lines of code. If you see at this, so we did by ID, by class name, query selector, and query selector all. And tag name again, it's same. It just returns a collection. All right. We have few methods again. I will be covering those first. More DOM methods. It's like these all are DOM methods. Similarly, we have DOM methods like through JavaScript. You can add a class to an elements. So I'll show you guys from here. Let's create few elements. I'll create one P element. Let's say I will write here HTML. Then I will create another like the div. I will say CSS. I'll add another P element. Let's say JS. I will add an ID here. Let's say file div. We'll copy I'm creating internal. The only reason is I just want you guys to understand this code is involved here. Okay, this class's code is involved here. So this is my class. This will add color as teal or white because I just want to write 2 lines of code. So I'm using the same place. And background color as teal. So this is the CSS I've added, internal CSS. So this is the element on which I've added, and these are the 2 elements. Here I will add ID equal to add class. Maybe. That's it. Let's create a different button so that this can revise it. I'm going to manipulate CSS classes through JavaScript. I'm going to create a function here. Firstly, I will write var x equal to document dot body dot children. Firstly, look at this. So this children is the property over here. So you will see all the children will be returned. So document dot body dot children. Okay. So why am I writing document dot body? Because I've already told you guys, body element you can directly select with document dot body. But if you want to select any other element, let's say all the child elements of UL, if you want to select. Okay. So for that you need to write document dot get element by ID, that unordered list dot children. So you can see all the childrens are returned here. All the childrens. All these childrens for the body element. See, all these are returned. Okay. So when you want to grab all the children elements or for any element, you can use this children. If you want to grab all the children elements, these LIs, you can simply write you can have an ID here, document get element by ID dot children. So all the LIs children will be returned. Okay. Now you can access it's a collection. You can use dot length property on this. There are total 11. So if you want to, let's say if your interviewer asks you how can you grab the count of all the child elements of a specific element, you can just say I can write document dot get element by ID for that element dot children. So this children property is predefined to grab all the childrens for an element. Now we'll manipulate the CSS. So just look at it. Firstly, I will write document dot get element by ID. I will select an element that is having the ID as add class. Now I'm going to write dot class list, and you guys can store it in a variable list. A question here comes, I am selecting an element by ID, then why there is a need to store it in a variable dot class list? Because one element can have more than one classes. Like this one element, I can add more than one classes, or I can add more than one element. Okay, fine. So right now what I'm saying, document get element by ID, select an element having the add class as the ID. Dot class list will return all the collection of classes present on that element. Okay, because classes again are not every element can have more than one classes. They can have one, two, three with space separation. That's why I'm storing it. Why it is returning a collection, a list? Because of class list. One element will not have only one class. It can have a collection of classes. One element now. Okay. So now next part I'm going to write list dot add and pass the class name from your CSS part. Okay. Now you guys might be wondering, how am I able to access these CSS classes through JS? It's accessible. You don't have to do anything. So when you click on this button, this element will have the class style div. So anyways, we are on this div. So this div is having this ID add class. So I'm saying select an element which is having the ID add class dot class list. Why I'm storing it in a variable like a collection? Because class list is not going to be unique. Classes are not going to be unique. There can be more than one class on the same element. So it will return me the collection, and I'm saying dot this add class. So I'm going to add a class on that element. See, I will click on this and class is added to the CSS element. So initially nothing is there. When I click on this, you will see class is added to the CSS element. And that is what I'm saying. So CSS element, add this class. The class. So let's say this is an element already having this class. So I will copy this. Again, I will write var L is equal to document dot get element by ID. Select an element having this ID dot class list. Class list will return me all the collection of its classes. So L dot remove and then pass the class name. Whichever class you want to remove, you can add removed. And on this I'm adding, and on this I'm removing. So just click of a button, you can remove the CSS class like L dot toggle. I will comment these two. Toggle means if that class is present, okay, then if I'm clicking on this, it is removed. If I'm clicking on it, it is added. So if it's already there, then remove it. If it's not there, then add it. This is what we call as toggle. Okay, toggle between the classes. Toggle. So if someone asks you, how can you manipulate CSS? Can you add CSS to an element through JS? So you can say, yes, I can. That class just need to be present inside your CSS file. Now this can be an external CSS as well. Okay, no worries. JS will be able to access it. So using firstly get the element dot class list. Class list will return all the collection of CSS added on that element. Because on a same element with space separation, you can add one more class. And then simply with add, you can add, remove with remove. Toggle will add and remove both. If it's added, it will remove. If it's removed, it will add. Okay. Last part we have is events. Okay. Event is a very detailed topic. I'll cover the events I've already covered anyways. In Java, in functions, and when we did functions team, I've already covered the events. I will just show you guys how you can attach an event to an element through JavaScript only. Today I will show you can attach an event to an element through JavaScript. I hope you guys remember this theory, like HTML. An HTML event can is something that a browser does or user does, like on load, on change, on click, on key up, on key down. So we have event handlers and listeners. To assign events to HTML element, you can use event attributes. Okay, and event handlers can be used to handle and verify user input, user action in browser. So last slide I provided in function, it's the same theory. Then we have DOM event property plus event. This is something new. You will see how you can access uh, actually the adding a event to an element through JavaScript. That is something new you will see. Okay. And team, just for your reference, I have added a list of the events here. Okay. Like click over or whatever these events do. Okay. So you can see. So you can go through the theoretical part here. I've added the events and all. Okay. This prevent default I will cover. Okay. But rest of the part you guys can see. Mouse events, keyboard events, and form events category wise. And you can see those here. This is mouse, this is form, and this is your uh, forms. Now I will show you how to attach an event through JavaScript. Okay. So firstly, same process, document.getElement by ID, select an element on which you want to attach an event. Let's say I will attach event on this button. Okay. I'm removing this. On this button, menu plate. Earlier it was on click is equal to menu plate, right? I will attach a button, this event on this button through JavaScript now. So I need to add a ID. So here I will write document.getElement by ID dot add event list now. So I'm saying select firstly you need to select the element. So this DOM event property means select an element firstly. So document.getElement by ID. I'm selecting an element which is having this ID. So that element will be selected dot add event list now. Okay. Now we pass two parameters here. Originally we passed three parameters, but today I will show you guys two. Okay. Firstly, in this place, you will write the name of the event. Okay. So whatever alphabets you guys used to write, like on, click. So just remove the on keyword from the starting and pass that here. If it's a click, add click. If it's a mouse over, then just add mouse over. If it's on load, then add load. Just remove the on keyword from the beginning. So whatever events that you see here in this list, if you're attaching it from JS, so you just have to write it directly, like event performed. So just give the event performed name. Don't use on keyword. Okay, if you're adding through JavaScript. So I'm selecting an element having this ID style menu plate dot add event listener. It takes two. I mean, originally it takes three. Third, I will explain tomorrow because that is event propagation and capturing. That I'll explain tomorrow. So today I'm explaining the main part. So this click, comma, you guys need a function. Okay. This is exactly you do here. You add the event handler and the function. So you are saying add event listener, click the name of the event, comma, the function name. And now that function is this place, menu plate covered. So you can see the applicability again for the callbacks. You're using it in a attaching an event to an element. This is the only way you can attach an event to an element through JS. You need callback, you need an event name. Okay. And whatever event you handler you attach here, just remove the on word from the beginning and attach it. Passing, click the name of the event, comma, the function. Now this function, whatever you have written here, you can write here as well directly. So this logic would come here. Same output. Same output. Okay. So it is not compulsory you need to create a separate function and pass it. You can write the callback function directly as well. These properties are also, this add and remove is also a do method. Toggle is also a do method. This event listener is also a do method. Okay. On HTML, there is just a button with the ID. This button. And here I'm directly writing, select an element having this ID. Okay. Attach a event called click on this button, and this is the method should be called. And you guys can write it directly in the document. You don't have to wrap. I mean, obviously, you will not wrap it in a function. You can directly write it in the document. But you need an ID to select that element.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope after watching this video, you understand the concept of DOM now. Now you will be able to easily answer this question in interviews as well. And if you really find it useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my channel. And do share it with your friends, with working professionals. Thank you so much for watching my video. See you in the next video.